A desperate plea. In the grand halls of the Galactic Council, representatives from 1,000 star systems gathered to discuss matters of import. The air buzzed with 100 alien languages, each spoken by strange beings of every conceivable shape and hue. Ambassador Zorax of the Kelteri Federation stood to address the council. His pale blue skin flushed navy as he spoke. "Esteemed counselors, I come before you with a dire warning about one of our galaxy's youngest spacefaring races, the humans of Earth." A stir went through the assembled aliens. The humans were well known as a thoroughly average species, remarkable only for their diversity. Zorax continued, "In many ways, humans are utterly unremarkable. Of middling intelligence and strength, with no unique abilities, and yet their very averageness conceals their greatest advantage." Zorax paced the central podium, his movements agitated. Humans adapt. They blend in. Put a human in any environment, any situation, and given enough time they will thrive there. They are tenacious survivors. On their ships, you'll find humans working every role from captain to janitor. In our cities, they fill our universities and run our businesses. We hardly even notice them anymore. So ubiquitous have they become. The council muttered uneasily. This adaptability was not unknown, but to hear it stated so plainly by the Kelteri ambassador was unnerving. "My friends, this is no simple speech of admiration," Zorax declared. "Instead, I bring you a warning. For there is one area in which humans are not average, one talent in which they surpass us all. And if my fears are correct, it may change the balance of power in the galaxy forever." He looked around at the gathered counselors, his dark eyes hard as shards of onyx. "I beg you to heed my words. The human threat is no mere idle speculation. I have seen their hidden capabilities with my own two eyes. So I ask, no, I plead, that you listen to my story with open minds. The very fate of our worlds may depend on it." With that ominous introduction echoing through the chamber, Zorax began his tale. The council leaned forward, intent on discovering the mysterious truth about Earth's most unassuming species, an average human. Zara was, in most aspects, an utterly average human, with warm brown skin, dark curly hair, and a pleasantly symmetrical face. She was pretty but not stunning, intelligent but not brilliant, strong but not powerful. In a crowd of humans or aliens, she would hardly merit a second glance. Like so many of her species, Zora had found work beyond the borders of Earth. She served as a caretaker aboard the starship Horizon's Edge, a Kelteri trading vessel plying the hyperspace lanes of the Orion Arm. Her duties were simple: maintain the ship's facilities, stock the synthesizers, and help care for the children of the crew during long voyages. It was this final role where Zara truly excelled. The Kelteri younglings adored her, and she them. In the months since she joined the crew, she had become a fixture in their lives, playing games, reading stories, and offering comfort when the little ones missed their distant homeworld. Even now, as the ship cruised through the obsidian depths of interstellar space, Zara was in the Hab suite with a dozen alien children. They laughed and squealed as she led them in a game of hide-and-seek through the labyrinthine corridors of the vessel. "Where's Keelix?" Zara called in a sing-song voice. "I'm going to find you." A little blue shape ducked behind a bulkhead, stifling giggles. Zara pretended not to see, instead dramatically searching in all the wrong places. Is he in the supply closet? No. Maybe the airlock? Not there either. The children's laughter echoed through the hall. Zara smiled. Bringing joy to these little ones, so far from their families and homes, gave her a deep sense of purpose. In their innocent faces, she saw hope for a future where all species could live in harmony. That future seemed very far away indeed when the first explosion rocked the ship. Alarms blared and emergency lights painted the corridors red. The deck shuddered underfoot, and Zara stumbled, catching herself against a wall. A voice crackled over the intercom, tight with panic. "Attention all crew. We are under attack by Gaxian pirates. This is not a drill. Get to your emergency stations immediately." The children screamed and cried, clinging to Zara in terror. She gathered them close, mind racing. Gaxian pirates were the scourge of the space lanes, known for their brutality and greed. They would board the ship, steal anything of value, and kill anyone who stood in their way. Zara's heart pounded a desperate rhythm in her chest. She was just a caretaker, not a soldier. What could one average human do against a gang of vicious pirates? But as she looked down at the small, frightened faces huddled against her, a fierce determination kindled in her heart. She would do whatever it took to keep these innocent children safe, no matter the cost. With a deep breath and a prayer to distant Earth, Zara prepared to face the coming storm. Hide and seek. The sounds of battle filled the corridors of the horizon's edge. The sharp crack of blaster fire, the hiss and sizzle of breaching charges, the screams of the dying all blended into a hellish cacophony. In the Hab suite turned kindergarten, Zara fought to keep calm for the sake of her charges. The children huddled around her, some whimpering, some eerily silent with shock. She whispered reassurances she barely believed herself. "It's going to be okay. We just need to hide and stay very quiet until help comes." Think of it like a game, yes, a game of hide and seek. The children nodded, wide-eyed. Zara forced a smile. "I'll be the seeker first. I want you all to go find the very best hiding spot you can, and don't come out until I say the secret word." Do you remember the secret word? "Starburst," a little Kelteri girl squeaked. "That's right. Navi. Starburst. Now go, hide. Quickly." The children scattered, scrambling into maintenance hatches, supply closets, air ducts, anywhere small bodies could fit. Within seconds, the room was empty and silent, but for the distant sounds of fighting. Zara took a shuddering breath and palmed the door controls. Beyond lay a scene of utter chaos. Smoke choked the air, mingling with the iron tang of blood. Bodies sprawled on the decking. Some Kelteri, some human, some alien species she had never seen before, all still and lifeless. Zara's gorge rose, and she fought down nausea. She had to focus. The children were depending on her. She slipped into the corridor, keeping low and quiet. If she could just avoid detection, wait out the attack. Well, what have we here?" A harsh voice growled behind her. Zara spun to see a hulking Gaxian pirate looming over her. His yellow eyes gleamed with cruel amusement above a leering, tusked mouth. He leveled a blaster at her chest. "A little far from home, aren't you, ape?" he sneered. "This is no place for you." Zara swallowed hard, mind racing. She had to keep him talking, keep his attention on her and away from any stray noises or movements that might betray the children's presence. "Please," she said, hating the tremor in her voice. "I'm just a caretaker. I don't want any trouble." "Trouble's found you anyway," the Gaxian said, grinning. "Now you can make this easy on yourself. Give me the codes to the ship's vault, and I'll make your death quick." Zara shook her head. "I don't have any codes. I told you. I'm just." The pirate's backhand blow cracked across her face, sending her sprawling. She tasted blood and saw stars. "I don't like being lied to," the Gaxian growled. He aimed his blaster at her head, just as a little voice behind him cried out, "Leave her alone." Zara's heart seized with terror as Keelix burst from his hiding spot, his small fists clenched in childish defiance. The Gaxian turned, a vicious smile spreading across his face. "Well, isn't this interesting?" he purred, reaching for the boy with a massive, clawed hand. Zara saw her chance. With strength born of desperation, she kicked the Gaxian's knee with all her might, sending him stumbling. She scooped Keelix into her arms and sprinted down the corridor, the pirate's enraged bellows echoing behind them. She ducked through a hatch, sealing it shut with shaking hands, and set Keelix down. "Quick, hide," she ordered. "And don't come out for anyone except me." The boy nodded tearfully and scurried off into the shadows. Zara turned to face the hatch, heart pounding. The Gaxian would be through any moment. She had bought the children a little time. But now she had a fight on her hands, one average human against a vicious alien criminal. May the stars have mercy on them all. A human's fury. The hatch exploded inward in a spray of fire and shrapnel. Through the smoke strode the massive Gaxian, eyes burning with rage. His gaze locked onto Zara, and he smiled, baring jagged yellow teeth. "Nowhere left to run, little ape," he growled. "Now you'll pay for that bit of defiance." Zara planted herself firmly between the pirate and the hiding children, fists clenched at her sides. Fear hammered in her veins, but a strange calm settled over her. The calm of a mother bear defending her cubs, of a cornered animal with nothing left to lose. "You'll have to go through me," she said, and barely recognized her own voice. It was low and hard and thrumming with deadly promise. The Gaxian laughed, a harsh, barking sound. "Through you. I'll go over you, under you, and I'll paint the walls with what's left. You're just a weak little human. What do you think you can do to me?" Zara smiled then, a cold, sharp thing utterly unlike her usual sunny grin. "Let's find out." The pirate lunged, clawed hands grasping. Zara pivoted, faster than she'd ever moved in her life. Her legs scythed out in a vicious kick that caught the Gaxian in the gut, doubling him over. Her elbow cracked down on the back of his skull. He stumbled, more surprised than hurt, and roared in fury. Zara didn't give him a chance to recover. She pressed her attack, fists and feet lashing out in a blur of precise, devastating strikes. The Gaxian fought back savagely, his strength and size giving him a clear advantage. His claws raked Zara's arm, drawing blood. His fist slammed into her ribs, driving the air from her lungs. But Zara hardly seemed to feel the blows. She moved with a fluid grace, anticipating her opponent's attacks and countering with brutal efficiency. For every hit she took, she gave back 3. The pirate's eyes widened in disbelief as he gradually realized the truth. This was no mere caretaker he faced, but a warrior born. Decades of Keltari martial arts training flowed through Zara's muscles, honed to perfection by the intensity of human drive. With a final, devastating palm strike, Zara sent the Gaxian crashing to the deck. He lay still, blood pooling beneath his shattered skull. Zara stood over him, chest heaving, knuckles split and bloodied. The fury drained from her eyes, replaced by a look of wonder. She stared at her hands as if seeing them for the first time. All her life, she had been an average human. But in the crucible of battle, with innocent lives on the line, she had become something more, something extraordinary. The sound of running footsteps shook her from her reverie. More pirates, drawn by the commotion. She couldn't fight them all. It was time to run. "Starburst," she called softly. "Starburst, everyone out. We need to go now." Small shapes emerged from the shadows. The children, wide-eyed and trembling but alive. They clustered around Zora, clinging to her blood-stained uniform. It's okay," she soothed. "I've got you. We're going to get to the escape pods, all right. Stay close and stay quiet." With the children in tow, Zara slipped through the embattled ship, dodging firefights and skirting corpses. They were almost to the pods when a familiar voice cried out behind them. "You, human." It was the Gaxian leader, flanked by a dozen armed pirates. "Surrender now and your death will be quick." Zara pushed the children behind her, shielding them with her body. She was exhausted, injured, at the end of her endurance. She couldn't hope to fight so many, but she would not let them take the children, not while a single breath remained in her body. She raised her fists, blood dripping to the deck, and locked eyes with the lead pirate. In her gaze burned a fire that sent a chill through even the hardened Gaxian raider's bones. The fire of a human pushed beyond all limits, armed with nothing but the raw, unbreakable will to protect the innocent. "Come on then," Zora said softly. "Let's dance." The pirates charged. Zara leaped to meet them. and the battle was joined once more. The pirate's fate. The corridor echoed with the clash of combat, the sizzle of blaster bolts, the meaty thud of fists on flesh. At the center of the maelstrom stood Zara, a whirlwind of devastation. She moved like liquid lightning, weaving between the pirates, striking and evading with preternatural speed. Blaster bolts hummed past her head, sizzled through her hair, but never found their mark. Her own stolen blaster spat crimson death with every shot, felling Gaxians left and right. And yet, for every pirate that fell, two more seemed to take their place. They pressed in from all sides, a tide of vicious, snarling foes driven by greed and bloodlust. Zara's breath came in ragged gasps, her muscles screamed with fatigue, her wounds wept scarlet. Behind her, the children huddled in terror, their cries lost in the din of battle. Zara risked a glance back at them, these innocent lives entrusted to her care. In their wide, frightened eyes, she found new strength. She would not fail them, not while she still drew breath. With a wordless cry of defiance, Zara hurled herself at the pirates, fighting with a ferocity that bordered on madness. Her blaster clicked empty, and she cast it aside, snatching a vibrable from a fallen. Zara turned the tide with her fierce determination and combat prowess. She struck the pirates with swift, merciless blows, moving so fast she seemed to blur. The Gaxians fell back before her onslaught, their resolve faltering in the face of this unstoppable human warrior. Seizing the moment, Zara scooped up the nearest child and sprinted for the escape pods, the others following close behind. They piled into the cramped pod, and Zara slammed the launch controls. The pod blasted free of the ship just as a fresh wave of pirates flooded the corridor. In the pod's tiny viewport, Zara watched the horizon's edge dwindle against the starfield, still locked in battle with the Gaxian raiders. She slumped back in the command chair, every muscle trembling with exhaustion, and gathered the weeping children into her arms. "It's okay," she murmured over and over. "It's okay. We made it. We're safe now." In the aftermath, as the Kelteri Defense Forces rescued the pod and secured the battered horizon's edge, the tale of Zara's incredible feat spread like wildfire. The crew spoke in awe of the unassuming human caretaker who had fought like a demon to protect her charges, single-handedly taking on a Gaxian raiding party and living to tell the tale. The children, once terrified and traumatized, now looked upon Zara with something close to worship. To them, she was more than a hero. She was a guardian angel made flesh, a warrior goddess cloaked in the guise of a simple caretaker. And Zara, she was left to grapple with the realization that she was so much more than an average human. In the crucible of crisis, with innocent lives on the line, she had discovered depths of courage and skill she had never dreamed herself capable of. The battle had awoken something in her, a dormant potential she had never had cause to tap before, and now that it was awake, she knew with grim certainty that she could never go back to being ordinary. She had a new purpose now, a calling that transcended her humble role as a caretaker. She would use her gifts to protect the innocent, to stand as a guardian against the darkness that threatened the vulnerable and helpless. For Zara had learned the truth that lay in every human heart, that within even the most unassuming exterior could lurk the soul of a hero waiting to be awakened. That when the need was great, and the cause was just, even an average human could rise to extraordinary heights. It was a lesson she would carry for the rest of her days, a fire that would drive her to ever greater feats of courage and sacrifice. For Zara was a hero now, a shining exemplar of all that humanity could be. And the galaxy would never be the same. Humanity's gift. The news of Zara's incredible feats spread like a shockwave through the galaxy. From the gleaming citadels of the core worlds to the hardscrabble colonies on the fringes, every sentient species marveled at the tale of the unassuming human who had single-handedly taken on a Gaxian raiding party and emerged victorious. The Kelteri were the first to honor her, bestowing upon her their highest award for valor, the Star of Courage. In a grand ceremony broadcast across 1,000 worlds, The Keltari Prime Minister draped the glittering medallion around Zora's neck and spoke words that would be remembered for generations. In Zara Solaris, we see the best of humanity, he declared, his voice ringing with admiration. The courage, the selflessness, the indomitable will that can face the darkest of threats and emerge unbroken. She is a reminder to us all that greatness can be found in the most unexpected of places, that even the humblest among us can rise to heroism when the need is dire. Other accolades followed. The Galactic Council awarded Zara the Peacekeeper's Medal. The Terran government granted her the Sol Cross, the highest military decoration a human could receive. Overnight, she went from an unknown caretaker to the most celebrated hero in the galaxy. But Zara's story was only the beginning. Inspired by her example, other humans across the stars began to come forward with their own tales of extraordinary feats in times of crisis. There was Marcus Reeves, a humble freighter mechanic who single-handedly repaired a starliner's engines in the midst of a deadly ion storm, saving the lives of 1,000 passengers. There was Dr. Leela Patel, a soft-spoken xenobiologist who developed a cure for a deadly alien plague in a matter of days, working tirelessly as the disease ravaged entire worlds. And there was Commander Elena Santiago, a mild-mannered cargo pilot who took on an entire pirate armada with nothing but a battered old transport ship, using guile and skill to outwit foes who vastly outgunned her. These stories, and dozens more like them, rippled out through the galaxy, each one a testament to the extraordinary potential that lay dormant in every human heart. It was as if Zara's feat had been a catalyst, a spark that ignited a fire of courage and determination across the stars. In the face of this mounting evidence, even the most skeptical alien observers were forced to acknowledge the truth. Humanity was more than met the eye. Beneath their unremarkable exterior lay a wellspring of strength, ingenuity, and valor that could reshape the very fabric of the cosmos. As for Zara, she took her newfound fame in stride. She returned to her duties aboard the Horizon's Edge, caring for the ship's children with the same gentle dedication she had always shown. But there was a new light in her eyes now, a quiet confidence born of the knowledge that she was capable of so much more. She knew that her story was only the beginning, that the galaxy would need heroes like her in the dark days to come. And she stood ready to answer that call, to stand as a beacon of hope and courage for all who needed her. For Zara had learned the great secret of her species, the truth that lay at the heart of humanity's gift, that within every human soul lay the potential for greatness, waiting only for the right moment to be unleashed upon the stars. And with heroes like Zara lighting the way, there was no limit to what humanity could achieve, no darkness they could not overcome, no frontier they could not conquer. The age of the average human was over. The age of the extraordinary had just begun.